Welcome, everybody, to the Relentless podcast, where I find guests who are willing to commit to some type of 40-day health challenge. Now, it could be anything. It could be nutrition-related, exercise, cold plunge, hot sauna, or it could be giving up a vice like cigarettes or social media or naughty websites. Here's what happens. So the guest comes on before the challenge to talk about what to expect, and then they come back on after the challenge to talk about their experience, and we can learn from them. So if you're new here, throw us on in the background, hang out, and maybe, just maybe, I can earn my way into your regular podcast rotation. I'm very excited to have you on. You've been in my mind in terms of a guest because you do entertainment. And you have a background in like fitness, wellness, and I know you were super into that stuff. So I feel like this is
We're like the same person when it comes to all the wellness stuff.
Exactly.
The same.
Exactly. I think like the first time we met, we were talking about Shaun T. Insanity program or something like that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Super
funny.
God.
Can I tell a quick story?
Please.
Okay. So from our Genetti's time on the stage together, I remember before the stage, we were in rehearsals maybe, or we were just hanging out on stage before the show.
Yeah.
And we were trying to get into our deep squat. And we're using the edge of the stage to like pull ourselves into a deep squat. Yes. And Mark comes out and he's like, will you guys stop stretching your taints and start working on the lines? And I think about that all the time.
Yeah, that's so
Once a
funny.
week.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, I totally forgot about that. Yeah, that is such a hilarious story. The whole cast there, are they all doing well? I hope they're all doing well.
Yeah.
Genetti's. Good.
Yeah. It's kind of weird. Everyone, like, actors don't age. You know, we age.
No, I was going to
weird,
say.
So everyone seems like the same.
Yeah, I was going to say, gosh, it must be like absence of stress from doing what you actually want to be doing.
I think it's just a refusal to age.
Yeah.
There's something about like, I can't afford to age because what would I do? I'd have to like learn new roles and stuff. Like, no.
That's true.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, you got to age into like, go from like the teen roles to like the cool 20s and then like parent roles.
Right.
Oh my gosh.
Young parent.
Yeah. Young parent.
Parent of teenager.
Exactly.
And then grandparent. What?
Yeah,
No.
exactly.
No.
So when we first started chatting, I threw out like a giant list of like the different challenges that I had just kind of brainstormed. But you wanted to do we bounced a few ideas off, but you landed on a very interesting one, and I have a bunch of questions about it. And so if you're new to listening to this podcast, what we do here is I find people who are willing to commit to some type of 40-day health challenge. It could be like exercise, nutrition, spirituality, giving up a vice like cigarettes or social media, whatever. So I sent out this giant list to people in hopes that they want to come on and do some type of 40-day health challenge. Now, you guys know that I don't promote anything that I don't actually use. And Gade Nutrition is something that I've been taking long before I ever had a podcast or YouTube channel. Their quercetin, zinc, vitamin C, vitamin D3 supplement has been a total game changer for me, and here's why. So I have a 6-year-old who brings home every cough, cold, flu, fever from school, and somehow I do not get sick. I've been taking this stuff regularly for 4 or 5 years, and in that time, I think I've gotten sick twice, maybe 3 times. And even then, it is so mild that I barely notice and I get over it quickly. So if you're tired of getting knocked out by every little bug, give it a shot. Go to gatenutrition.com and use the promo code CHRIS5 to get 5% discount on all orders. Again, that's gatenutrition.com, promo code CHRIS5, link in the description. And of course, talk to your doctor or whatever. I'm not one of them. I'm just a guy who experiments on himself like a human crash test dummy for health. So another brand that I've been using well before I started this podcast is Nutricost. I found them on Amazon, but now I just order directly off their website. And I have been using this beta-alanine that they have for years and years. And then I use their casein protein for like post-workout recovery. Now, if you've never tried beta-alanine, a lot of pre-workouts have beta-alanine in it, but this is like the pure stuff. And what it is that stuff that gives you like the tingly sensation in your workouts and helps push further. And then the casein protein, I use it for like post-workout or like before bed. It's really good because it digests slowly, helps keep me full, and it fuels my muscles while I sleep. But right now, through the end of April, you actually get 35% off your orders when you use the promo code Relentless. So the link is in the description. Go there and help support the podcast. Caitlin, we bounced a few ideas off, but Caitlin, you decided you wanted to do what?
A visualization challenge.
Visualization challenge. Now, in your own words, what is visualization?
So I would say what I'm trying to do is like set a time to sit down, not do anything else, and just put my mind into a very specific place, probably imagery involved, and keep it there for just a little bit. Or maybe go through a little list of things that I have, all the different areas I'm trying to like firm up in my inner space and make them a complete part of me. And if I can do that consistently for days, maybe it'll work. Maybe not.
Yeah, and we're going to find out.
Yeah.
So with the visualization, are you doing it solo? Or are you going to do some sort of like guided kind of like meditation type thing that you find on like YouTube or like a meditation app?
Solo. Because I'm going to do specific things that I want to like almost download into my brain like Neo. But more like mindsets because I don't have the helicopter program ready for that yet. Yeah. And but I could also, I use like a vision board. It's actually just one of those little picture frame dealies. And instead of like pictures of my family, it's like pictures of stuff I want and like stuff I'm trying to like program in. So I'll update the vision board with some new things.
Yeah, cool. Well, let's talk about what specifically, if anything, it is we're going to like visualize. So I would say, where are you now? Because I think an important part of this that I don't want people to like get the misconception of is just like visualization is this big like reach for something different because we're not happy with where we are now. I think like gratitude, being grateful, like gratitude with what we have now is like very important. It's like a big part of it. But I would say my question for you is like, in terms of visualization, using that as our lens here, where are you now? And what are some of the things like specifically that you want to reach? Like whether that be a goal for like an external situation or like internal situation.
Okay, so I think a lot of it is going to be mindset. So like just leveling up the mindset in different areas so that it's more automatic, it's more built in. And so just as an example, so like in the comedy section of my life, there's like things that can just be ingrained a little bit more. So like just feeling funny. If you're not feeling funny, you're not funny. So like, can you feel funnier? Can you feel that funniness more consistently? What would that feel like to just kind of like maximize that and level that up? There's different kind of tropes or types to play that like the more you get them in your body, like the better you can play like the idiot, the clown, the drunk, the whatever. If it's not as foreign to you, you have more access to it, increase the funny. So that's like just the comedy pie.
Oh, okay. So basically with visualization, like, cause you do a lot of comedy and I'm so excited to get into that. And I'm very tempted right now just to dive right into it right now. But what I like to do, so just kind of peeling the curtain back a little bit on this channel, like I like to do the long form podcast, but then I clip out portions of the podcast. And I find like when I go back to edit, if I get too sidetracked, it doesn't make for as good of a clip. So I try to keep the sections of what we're talking about condensed and consolidated. So we're going to talk about all your like ventures.
Plus the YouTube chapters have to be.
Exactly. The chapters got to be on point too. And it says like pet peeve here. We talk pet peeves and we do recommendations. Pet peeve here, content creating, like there's an option that says like, do you want AI to do like automatic chapters for you? And I always select yes, but it never gives me the automatic chapters. I assume that when I do that, it would be like dive into the pod and do like step by step. But like, God, doing chapters, I haven't really dove into it yet. It just seems so tedious.
Yeah.
But yeah. So you're thinking like, so you do a lot of comedy, like on stage, behind the camera or in front of the camera. So you're thinking like visualizing like and actually feeling what that feels like to be in a funny space will increase like your efficiency at being funny. Is that what I'm gathering?
It's basically like a growth mission. A little bit of using visualization to accelerate the inner growth and things.
Yeah.
And awareness too, I guess, because if you're not if you're more aware of what's working and what's not working, or you just try to level up one area a little bit, you probably notice when you're not on the ball, and you can self-correct a little better. So I'm hoping it's just like a self-perpetuating thing that I've never been able to get myself to sit down and just do.
Yeah.
But I do have to like feel it, because like part of the problem is I'm not good at visualization. I don't like the pictures I have access to are like, they're kind of fuzzy. They're not like as crisp as other people's, and I know that's like a range. Some people are like, I can see 360. I see the blueprint. I see it all. And then some people are like, I see nothing. I see black. And people are different like that. So I'm somewhere in the middle, where if I focus on like getting the feeling, that's better for me.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I've never been a big like 360. Let me fix your mic actually a little.
Sure, yeah.
Let's get it a little closer to
Oh,
it. Is that
let's eat it.
yeah, just like take a bite out of that phone. My kid does sometimes when he wanders in here. So I found this like study as I was kind of diving into the visualization thing, and it kind of highlights like what we're talking about here. So I think another misconception with this visualization stuff that I've actually held too, but I think just widely, is that like visualization equals like we think about something, we're going to obtain it. Like The Secret, like if you think about something, you'll bring about it in your life. And I don't think that's the meaning behind it. So here's a study. So it was like the 1990s. They took 3 groups of people. They called them Group A, Group B, and Group C. Just regular people, not like athletes, not trained in anything. But they had Group A, Group B, and Group C come in and shoot some free throws, play some basketball, just shoot some free throws. And then they stopped and they said, okay, go on about your lives for 30 days. Group A, 1 hour a day, you come in, you physically practice free throws. Group B, you do nothing at all. Don't do anything. Group C, we want you to visualize.
Only think about it.
Yes.
Yeah.
Only think about it in your mind. Like you said, the 360 practice in just your mind, not just like the motion, but like the feel of the ball, the color of the ball going in, most importantly, but like the feeling of accomplishment. Just visualize and do like the full 360, 4-dimensional, like all the shapes, all the colors, whatever. So they had them go do that for 30 days, and the results were pretty astounding. The Group A came back and they noticed a 24% increase in free throws made from the first time they came in. 24%. Group B, 0% increase. They stayed the same. Group C, who just did the visualization, 23% increase. So I think what that tells us is like, it can't just be all one or the other, but it does have a tremendous impact, like by itself, but also like when we pair it. So like the clearer that we can visualize it, typically the easier it is to trudge up the feelings and actually take the action towards the goal. Does that make sense?
Yeah, and that helps me a lot, because all of the little aspects, the feel of the ball, something I'll have to build into what I'm visualizing, and I wasn't really thinking about it that deep.
Yeah. It was a pretty cool study. And like I've been kind of back and forth on the whole thing, because I love stories like the Jim Carrey story about like visualization and how he wrote himself like the $10 million check and saw him cashing the check. And then he gave himself, I think, 5 years. And then it was like the week before the expiration date of the check.
Yeah.
Dumb and Dumber happens and he
Yeah.
gets $10 million,
Yeah.
which, man, that would have been a good transition to Jeff Daniels, because I know you've done some Purple Rose stuff.
Were you hoping I would come in here and be like a manifestation master? Like, I will think it and it will be.
Yes, I was hoping
I was hoping
like,
too I could do that, but I don't know if I can.
What I was hoping is we were going to have to get these cameras like to elevate with us, because we weren't even going to be like physically
We'll just levitate
sitting in the chair
in this
together.
room, man.
Yeah. Do you meditate on a regular basis?
I used to.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I had meditation classes in college somehow. I guess I had a pretty cake schedule.
Yeah.
But really, it was like 45 minutes. If you get there, you sit on the thing in a circle with everyone else and just pure silence and get good at it. And it was day after day after day. And you had to do homework with it too. So I meditated a lot.
Yeah.
I almost got like superpowers. I was almost a levitation mode.
That's amazing.
Mm-hmm.
That's amazing. It does kind of quiet your brain though. For
Oh,
me,
yeah.
I find when I meditate regularly, and I'm the same way. I'm up and down. I try to, but I have a longer fuse in life. Like I have my patience muscle, like is probably the biggest thing that grows.
Yeah. The reaction side of you just tamps down.
Mm-hmm.
And I would get where like, you're walking to class and it's freezing and you're like, oh, this sucks, whatever. I got to the point where it's like, oh, I feel the cold, but I have no reaction to the cold. I didn't care at all. And I was like, wow, meditation is nuts.
Yeah. Just allow it to be cold rather than like tensing up and like, shivering
exactly.
and being like, oh, this sucks. We'll just allow the cold to be.
And then one time, because I went to school on the west side of the state at Western Michigan University, and it's pretty close to Lake Michigan. And I went out on a lighthouse one day in January, and there's the ice flows on Lake Michigan. The wind is whipping, so it's really cold, but it's really pretty. It's probably pretty dangerous to be out there and doing what I was doing, but I was in college, so I didn't care. And I was like, it's really cold, and my hands are really cold. I think I should take off my gloves. And that's what I thought, right? And so I just took off my gloves, felt the cold, and my hands got really warm. Not in like hypothermic sense, but like they actually got really warm. And I was like, meditation, pretty badass.
Yeah.
And that's as far as I got with the superpowers.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, that sounds like a superpower to me.
Yeah, that's cool. Not that I can do that still, but it happened like twice. I was
Yeah.
able to replicate it one other time.
Add it to your visualization and, it's going to only warm up, but keep it in your visualization practice. And then when you come back in 40-ish days, we'll be like, you can like on command control your whole body temperature.
I could try. I really don't think that's enough time for me to be able to get any of those powers.
Yeah.
And I never could control my whole body temperature.
Yeah.
But maybe I'll try it.
Please do.
Yeah.
I can't wait. So we talked about like the comedy pie, like the visualization of the comedy pie. Is there anything like in your visualization that you planned like achieving like in terms of like external? Like are you planning on in your visualization being like, I'm going to see myself walking across the stage at the Oscars 2026 because I'm going to land myself one of them damn awards?
No.
Okay.
I feel like I've led myself into a lot of disappointment trying to think that way.
Yeah.
And so like the most tangible, like direct outcome related thing I have is the deep squat to bring it full circle because I never really could. And I think my body, like it lost that ability and it just doesn't want to get it back, but I want it back.
Yeah.
And I feel like visualizing it will help me get there.
Okay. Well, let me practice. So on camera here, I'm going to hop off the mic. So deep squat, I want to make sure I have the motion down. So we just go like, are we talking about like, cause I know like squat, we're talking like further down?
Yeah, like just be able to be in a full squat and keep the heels on the ground.
Full squat, keep heels on ground. Okay.
Yeah.
Sorry I'm moving around the mic so much, listener. I hope it's
like
not
you have a lot of mobility. So
I'm not bad. I try it. Oh, no. Now I'm falling.
We used to be so good at this.
I know. I want to see yours.
Oh, it's real
Ready,
bad.
set, go. Yep. And for the Spotify listeners, I'll describe exactly. Okay,
Okay, so see? My heels are like at least a full inch off the ground.
Take her head up. She's balancing.
Yeah.
You got it. You nailed it.
That's not a proper deep squat for sure.
Not proper.
No.
I want to congratulate you. You don't have I've talked about it on this podcast, so whatever. The Michigan accent.
Yeah.
You don't have it.
I don't?
No, you don't
really?
have it.
People outside the state think I do.
Really? I don't think so. So like I've come across a couple of like funny phrases that like will totally reveal if you have a Michigan accent. And the one you said not a problem. Normal. I think a lot of people in Michigan would say not a problem.
Not a problem.
Not a problem. Here's one. Go to dickscottdodge.com. Go to .com.
Buy a Dodge at Dick Scott.
Buy a Dodge at Dick Scott. I work with a guy named Scott Kahn, and it's like
Scott Kahn.
Scott Kahn. And I went to high school with a guy named Scott Gossett, and it's like when you say those names and you're from Michigan, like we could tell.
Yeah.
We could tell. I got called out a lot, and that's the only reason why I kind of notice it, because I lived in California for a few years, and week one, people are like, what did you say? Because we say pop. Like,
Yeah.
not only do we call it pop, but it reveals the accent with the hard
Pop.
O, pop.
Pop.
So like, I remember working at this restaurant, and there was like a beverage station, they called it, but in Michigan we called it a pop station. Go clean up the pop station. I called it a pop station, and people were like, gave me the side eye. They were like, what did you just refer to it as?
That's such an accurate, like.
I was just like, ugh. So visualization. Was there anything like, because I know it looks like you did some homework. Was there anything that you wanted to like get into and talk about it in regards to like specifics that I haven't asked about yet?
No, just if people are curious what all my topics are, I won't go into like all the things, but you know, physical. What do I want to change physically? And that's mostly the deep squat and the acting. So the acting things I have on here are like what I've been doing lately is just borrowing from the masters and like not even working on technique or process. It's like, no, just gonna watch Marlon Brando and then imbue, just osmosis the Marlon Brando and Phil Seymour Hoffman. Two greats, right? How do you go wrong there?
Right.
And I have like a body language part of me that I study that stuff. So a couple things like I want to be able to pick up on more easily and not have to like watch so hard for people's like blink rate or whatever. Just the general higher self things like responding from my higher self and feeling more worthy of opportunities and that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And that's it. Just some like higher vibes, energy stuff.
Higher vibes, energy stuff. I love that because that's really the main thing I got when I was diving into the visualization and prepping for this is like, yeah, the misconception that I had before, I don't know how well I articulated it before, but it's like, I always thought like what you think about, you bring about was only half the story. I think like with visualization, what it helps to do is actually tap into not only just like seeing yourself doing it, but feeling yourself doing it. And you bring all that in. And then when you're operating from a place of like, I already have this, then you're giving off like an energy to where like you're more likely to attract it.
Yeah.
Right?
And training yourself to not need it.
Yeah.
Not need anything. Not need the approval, not need the accomplishment, not even needing things to go right, not needing to, get the audition, whatever. Just like that helped me a lot. I feel like I did that a long time ago. Tried to eliminate a lot of that need. And that was great. That's one of the best things someone can do.
Yeah, I think so too. It's such a good quality trait to have. Like that's what like my years in acting, I like to consider myself like retired, semi-retired from acting. Like this, I kind of put everything into this now, like in terms of like that creative channel. But that is one thing that it instilled in me is just like not hanging your hat on anyone's like opinion of you. Like when it comes to audition, because you do like I got rejected so many times, and it's like the person that has the ability to like shake it off, move on to the next one are the ones that succeed. And you are clearly succeeding because I did a deep dive, not to be like a creeper, but like a deep dive into like your IMDb, and we're connected on LinkedIn, and you're always doing like, you're always active and you're always doing cool things. And I want to commend you for your persistence and for your just like ability to like truly live the dream. I think you're living out so many people's dreams by pursuing something you're truly passionate about. Most people don't do that.
Oh, thank you. I've heard that a lot. There's a lot of trial and error that no one sees, a lot of past pain and suffering, and a solid decade of pure failure. To just make it to like just a moderate like level where like you can do it semi-consistently and get paid. Yeah.
The pain and suffering, that gives me a great transition into diving into it all. But I want to quickly check my list because I wanted to make sure I covered everything in terms of the visualization before we dive into you as a human and as a person and as a creator. Okay, one last thing, one last cool story about visualization, and then we're going to dive into your stuff.
Okay.
I've talked about this fella on the podcast before in a different context, kind of. But have you ever heard of a guy named Roger Bannister?
Yes.
Roger Bannister is the first person to break the 4-minute mile.
Oh, yeah.
And they talked to him about it, and part of the story that's cool is like, not only was he the first person to do it, but then like within 5 years, all scientists and doctors said can't be done, can't do a mile in under 4 minutes. He does it, and then within like a few years, 60 other people do it, and today it's like 1,200. So it's like he was the first. He showed people you set your mind to something, you can do it. But he talked a lot about visualization. He's like, I didn't just train my body. I didn't just run an endless number of laps around the thing. He's like, I physically saw crossing the finish line. I saw the clock, 3:59. I saw it. I visualized it. I felt it. I did everything. And so he attributes visualization just as much as he attributes like physical hard work to being the first person to break in the 4-minute mile.
Yeah, half the battle is just conceiving that you can do something.
Right.
And I joke with all my actor friends that like half of your skill is how good you think you are. Because you walk in there like, I'm hot shit. People are like, are they hot shit? Maybe they are. And I don't know.
Yeah.
I have one more thing about visualization too.
All right.
So I think there's a shortcut to all of this visualization stuff. And it's hypnosis. Where someone guides you very specifically on what you want to visualize, and they put you in trance, and they talk directly to your subconscious, and you can get those results maybe a lot faster and without a lot of work on your own part.
Yeah, hypnosis is wild stuff. Have you ever done it with somebody?
I haven't done it with somebody, but in my like body language group, there's a lot of hypnosis people in there, and there is a program within that where it's an audio that you listen to for like 60 days that improves your confidence, and it works.
Yeah.
It works.
Yeah. Can you read body language? Are you good at that? What does my body language say? Am I like just...
You're a little bit still right now. Caught you in like a freeze response.
Yeah. I don't know if that's my anxiety or what. I just always have like a low level anxiety. I have this like generalized anxiety disorder, they tell me.
Really?
But I've been able to like totally combat it with just exercise and nutrition.
Cool.
They had me on like Lexapro and Zoloft.
That's what I was going to ask, if you have any medication, but you're able to get off of them?
Yeah, they tried me on them. I responded for a short period of time, but you know, I got off it ultimately. It made me feel worse than just the anxiety itself. Like I was always groggy and sleepy and foggy. Yeah. Groggy and foggy. Bars. But I found that for me, anxiety, I can tackle it by doing two things. Fish oil, daily fish oil, like 1,000, making sure I get 1,000 EPA in my diet every single day, reduces it by like 50%. Boom. And then...
That's interesting.
Yeah, super interesting. I don't know what it is. Not a doctor. I heard Andrew Huberman talking about it one time, though.
Did he have the connection? Does he know?
I don't know. He's a doctor, though. He's like a neuroscientist out of Stanford. So he, I tried it because I use myself as like a human test dummy on all this stuff.
Me too.
Yeah, and just it helps. And then another thing, I don't know if I'm going to eat like it all the time. I'm going to find my correct balance, but for 40, like I did a 40-day challenge of just eating meat and fruit only. Whoa. And that washed it all away. But now the thing is, like, I don't like eating that restrictive.
Yeah.
So, like, I've been kind of introducing, like, some rice or potatoes or some vegetables, like, back into my diet. But I'll tell you what, I haven't ever felt as good in my brain and my body as doing daily fish oil and meat and fruit. But it's like that balance. Like, I like a good Thai food every now and then. I like a bowl of pasta. It's like, so I'm just trying to find in myself like how often I can do those things.
Yeah.
With still reducing the anxiety.
Wow. Yeah. Oh man, there's so much health and diet stuff that we could go into. Like I had birthday recently, and I had birthday cake, and I had like, I don't have sugar, right? But when your mom makes you birthday cake, you gotta have the birthday cake.
Right.
And then my body felt like shit, like immediately. Yeah. Like not sleeping well the next like 5 days, and everything hurts.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yes.
But I had to finish the cake, of course. I had like all the leftovers too.
I know. It's like I think what it is like, everybody's different, but I think when I eat out of the reins, like, inflammation, I think, is a big thing. Like, I think like the tiniest little bit of inflammation, like when you're used to none, you get a little bit, and the aches and pains come back. That's another thing. Like meat and fruit, woke up like a hummingbird, like full of energy, no aches and pains, good to go. And, I have some cake, or we got back from Florida, and it's like we ate at restaurants every time. Like, I was having burgers and fries and just like not how I'm used to eating. And I felt it in my brain and body.
Wow.
It's wild.
Yeah. I do so many things to stay healthy now. One of them is acupuncture.
You do acupuncture?
Yeah.
I want to hear about that. I wasn't even planning on talking about that. What's that like?
It's a little stressful because of who likes needles being shoved in you everywhere.
I'm a big needle guy.
Who knows how deep? You like the needles?
No.
But the practitioner is this guy from China, and he's been raised to be a healer his entire life. And he was also a doctor and maybe a surgeon. And then he came over from China and he was like, I don't really like the doctor life. I just want to be a healer. And so his ability to like diagnose people and figure out what's going on just from kind of looking at you, and he'll maybe lightly touch you on the arm and be like, inflammation in the spine. I think you had a virus recently. And you'd be like, what? And then he puts the needles in you, and then everyone gets better.
Yeah.
So it's so hard to figure it out on our own. We do extreme diet stuff. We go on medication, and he can just figure it out. So I don't know if you can find like a good health practitioner in the natural health space, functional medicine, something like that. You can save yourself maybe a lot of time with the trial and error trying to fix ourselves.
Yeah, I have just been diving down the functional medicine rabbit hole like crazy lately. Don't need to get into it too much, but like with my son, he got diagnosed ADHD and anxiety, and he's only 6, and he's like suspected for like autism spectrum. It's like a high functioning, he'll be okay, but we've been going through some like serious challenges with it. So we've kind of thrown all this stuff at it that are all like several months or several weeks out, like 3 to 4 weeks out from right now. We won't be able to get him into like these different appointments we have, but I do have a functional medicine appointment set up for him in like a month where, we're doing like this whole like kind of like whole foods, real foods diet for him right now. This is like week 1 of it. I think we're already starting to see some movement of the needle, but I can't wait to get him into there so we can like really root cause some of this stuff and see like, maybe it's as simple as like he's deficient in zinc. Give him some zinc and he'll be 20% better, improved, or maybe 5% improved. But it's like, as a parent, it's just a wild goose chase because like hate to see your kid struggle. Like I'd rather struggle myself than watch my kid struggle.
Yeah.
But like, we're doing all the things we can for him. It just 3 weeks out could, might as well be 3 years out when it's like, watching him struggle. So,
that's so hard.
Yeah, it's tough, but we're getting through it. We're getting through it. It's a battle, but I like the quote, smooth seas never made a good sailor. So like the tough times build character and
strong wind makes strong tree.
Yeah, strong wind, strong tree. Yeah, I like that. I like that. Let's dive into some of your stuff because I'm just so impressed with you. First, want to talk about we talked about it a little bit, but Genetti's Little Theater in downtown Northville. Shout out to them if you're local to the Michigan area and you want a good night out with a friend, with a spouse, significant, or whatever.
Or your whole company.
Your whole company. There you go. Genetti's Little Theater is where you can see Caitlin on stage. Typically, I used to do it. We used to be co-stars. But you go in, you have a big 7-course Italian meal, and then it's like dinner theater where they come and they perform. Typically a 5-person cast will come and perform a truly hilarious show for you. And what I want to know from you, when did you get started with Genetti's?
2010.
2010.
Yeah.
Okay, so very close to when I did. I think I was 2011 maybe.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah. And that whole instance for me was so profound and life-changing because I was kind of fluttering in life. I didn't know what I wanted to do. I just knew I always loved acting. I always loved being on, in front of people, on camera, whatever. And it terrified me to go up there and ask, can I audition for you? What does this look like? I had no idea, but I broke it down into okay, it's going to take 20 minutes just to drive up there and ask. And I can do that 20 minutes. And so it took everything I had within me, but I drove up there and you all just happened to be rehearsing for something. And I went and I was just what is it I want to get into acting. I have 0 experience. What does it look like?
You had 0 experience?
I had 0 experience. Yeah. It terrified me so much. And you want to talk about imposter syndrome? I always felt like such an imposter there. I always felt like
He was so naturally funny. We always thought like this is just the greatest guy ever. He's been hiding somewhere, and then now he's here.
oh my, really? You thought that?
Mm-hmm.
That's so. I did not have
He's
that.
just so naturally funny, and you never seem scared at all.
Oh, I was terrified. There was one show, we can get into that. There's one show where I wasn't scared, but all the other ones, I always had like butterflies, and the whole day leading up to a show, I was a
Oh, I
mess.
know. It can wreck your day sometimes.
Yeah, I know.
And even like if you get rid of the fear, sometimes it's still be like, it's going to be a lot of energy. So, and then your body's like, nap first, and then you lose half your day.
Exactly. The whole time, like, and then once you're like 5 minutes before showtime, good to go. Like once you're out there, perfect. Like it's perfectly fine. But I will say, I always tell people there is no feeling like just like killing in front of an audience.
Right.
Like when you are on and you're in the zone, you're in that flow state where everything just kind of melts away, and the shit you're saying, whether it's from the script or just off the cuff, is making the audience laugh.
Yeah.
No better feeling in the world.
Yeah.
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 So, so I will tell this. So this is a quick story. We were doing the show. If you remember, I don't remember the name of the show, but it was the one where we were in an insane asylum, and Mark's character had the bit where like he had a split personality, and he became whoever the audience told him to become. Like he's like, I think I'm a different celebrity now.
Oh, yeah.
Who will I be? So this is years ago.
Yeah.
But there was one time Mark couldn't be there, and I had to do that character. And Mark always did it. Mark is one of the funniest, if not the funniest person I've ever met in my entire life. So I'm like, I should be scared right now. But for whatever reason, I just knew I had it. And I'm like, I got this. And so it comes to the time where we're on stage, and like I had memorized all the lines because we had done the show so much, but like doing the thing where like I go, I'm so and so, I have a split personality, and it's your job, talking to the audience, it's your job to tell me who I am. So when I say so and so, you got to tell me a new person that I am. So they would always give Mark Donald Trump to do his Trump impression. But for me, first person they gave me was Prince, and so I had to do like a Prince impression, and I knew nothing about Prince, so it went okay. But then I go, I'm now a different celebrity. Who am I, audience? And someone yells out, George Carlin. And it's just like, I'm a giant George Carlin fan. I have like hours of his bits memorized. So I just like, I don't know what happened that day, but I like flipped and I like became George Carlin for like 15 minutes. It was like that weird thing where like Jim Carrey talks about how he like became Andy Kaufman for Man on the Moon. I was like Carlin, and I was like, I had all the bits like ready to go. So anytime something happened with like crowd interaction, like I was on it. And that was like the one time I can like look back on acting and be like, something happened that I can't explain, but it was probably the coolest thing to happen in like terms of acting.
Dude, that's an amazing experience. And that's
cool.
so cool. And you're a really good storyteller.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Thank you.
That was captivating.
Tink you.
That's
very
amazing. And I feel like that's only happened to me like a couple times.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you have any, well, I'll ask a 2-part question. You can go either direction you want, but do you have any, like, from your whole acting career, do you have any like horror stories, like a time where a job or a gig went really bad, or you're really uncomfortable, you didn't like it, or
so many,
a time
Too
where
many.
you just, yeah? Because I got one or two. But yeah, I would love to hear like some of your stories of like career highs, career lows, or anything in between.
All right. I'll do one of each.
Okay.
Do you want the low or the high first?
High.
Okay, cool. I had met Jeff Daniels on the set of American Rust, and I had a scene with him, and that's a whole story. But he was like, you got to come audition for me at my theater. And
Did you know him beforehand?
Before American Rust? No.
Okay.
No, I'd never met him. And so yeah, I had to like make that impression, like get in, get out, say the right things. And he was like, yeah, you got to come audition at my theater. And so I go in there for the audition, and it is just like him, the artistic director, and his son, who's, I forget what his position is there, and I was like, oh shit, I got to audition for like the big man himself. And I was like, this could really stress me out right now. And then I went, nope. And then I was like, I'm just going to commit fully and be as wild as I can be. And not only be not scared, but go like to the moon insanity, which is what somehow I knew that's what he wanted. Yeah. I think maybe someone said like he wants people that are funny and fearless. Or maybe he was praising someone else and that's what he said. But anyway, that's what I chose. And I got it. And I got to be on stage right away, because normally you don't go into Purple Rose and be able to be in the show. You have to like understudy first for like 6 months or a year or something. And so I got in right away.
Oh my gosh.
And it was a lot of Genettis. And I think that is what prepped me for it. Because you don't do like at least 500 shows or something crazy and not be ready for that moment. Over prepared, possibly. Because it was done a lot of shows. We've done a lot of shows there. And the low one, this is gonna bring the vibes down a little bit.
Okay.
I'll tell it in a light way.
Okay.
So I was on this film. I think it was maybe a 48-hour film challenge, which I don't do anymore because now I know how inherently dangerous they are. But this was years ago.
Okay.
So I show up to like Westland or someplace at like 7 a.m, and then they're gonna go downtown Detroit and shoot in some like abandoned building or something. Okay. And I'd been in that abandoned building because a lot of people shoot there. Okay. But then they wanted to like have the scene where like they're throwing me down the stairs. And I'm like, no, I'm not going to get thrown down the stairs. And it's like, no, we'll just dangle her like this. And they grab me and they dangle me over the stairs. And I'm like, please don't let go. Please don't let go. Please don't let go. And I think earlier they were like, oh, we need some wardrobe that we can mess up. You didn't bring any clothes for us to destroy? And I was like, no. And they're like, oh, we'll hop in the car. We'll go to the thrift store really quick. And the guy was driving like a madman. And I was like, this is the most unsafe drive of my entire life. And so,
jeez.
Yeah, so I get back. They do this staircase thing. And then I'm like, I just got to get something from my car really quick. And then I leave. And then they just like call and call and call and call. And I'm just like, no. Yeah. Like I'm obviously never going back.
My God, had you ever met any of those people before? Were they all like brand new people?
They were brand new people, but it was a referral from a trusted friend. It wasn't a random thing on the internet, and he didn't show up.
Really?
Yeah, he was like, I'm going to be there. It'd be cool if you could come, and then these other people will be there too.
Okay.
And I was the only one who showed up.
So former friend now is what I'm gathering.
Yeah, someone who's still in the industry too. So I'm like,
Yeah. Oh man, I'm sorry you had to go through that. That's a bummer.
There's a lot of those.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, man, I had, I don't know if you ever had any of this, but did you ever have any like uncomfortable scenes where you had to be like intimate with somebody? Yeah.
Yeah. That's why there's intimacy coordinators.
Yes.
And there wasn't on that shoot.
No.
No.
Yeah. I had my challenges were like a 2-part challenge because when I was acting, my spouse at the time was not comfortable with any of that. So like I remember there were scenes in Genetti's where like I had to kiss somebody, it ended in like a kiss, and she
like
had like
a wedding show or something.
Yeah, she had like a big problem with that, and I, whatever, I didn't really push back. I was brand new to acting, so I'm like, okay. And I remember having to talk to the cast and be like, yeah, can we like fake it or something? So we like faked it for a little bit, and then like I just like dropped that and just do the real kiss, and if she has a problem with it, whatever. But yeah, I remember one film I did through, well, actually there was 2. Geez. There's one film I did though through like MPI, Motion Picture Institute, where they did like the student films. Yeah. That's where I started to like get some experience, just, audition for those, get free experience, whatever. But there was one where I had to have like, it was clothed, but it was like the beginning of like a sex scene, and we had to like, and yeah, and it was like a new director. I'm new, the actress is new, like none of us really know. It's very clunky and like, it just, we could have used an intimacy coordinator for sure. Like, yeah. So you have experiences like that where?
Yeah. Oh yeah. It was so awkward. And I feel like the director, a female director too, who really should have known better. I feel like she felt really uncomfortable. The whole crew felt really uncomfortable. And I think they did it instead where it's like, there's like a hand and then the other hand on it, like to the side, and like going to cutaways like that, because I was like, just not cooperating. I was like, you're gonna make me do this. I'm gonna do a shit job.
Yeah.
Because you don't deserve a good performance of this. I'm not. I'm just not.
Yeah. What was that? I mean, I don't want to throw anybody under the bus, but what was that on? What shoot was that? That
was Love Happens.
Love Happens.
And I feel like if she saw, she would be like, yeah, that was maybe not cool of me.
Okay. Yeah. But yeah, I feel like I, not to switch gears, but I feel like I every time I turn on the TV, I see you in a commercial. Like you've done so many commercials. I'm always like, there's Caitlin. What was like in terms of commercials? Like, you've done so many, but like, do you have like a favorite of the commercials and like maybe like a least favorite?
Oh, my favorite is always the one that pays me the most.
Right. They do. Some
100%.
Some of them do pay pretty well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's genuinely fun. I got to be a mascot for Michigan Lottery.
Okay.
Kind of recently.
Okay.
And doing motion capture and stuff, it's all mascot like ish, and I've done a mascot in motion capture, but never like in real life. And to put on like this big furry costume that like everyone loves, it's just like, it's good to go around and give people high fives and like pat them on the back and go be silly, and they're just like, they just melt. Everyone's a big kid. We're all big kids. That's my philosophy on life, and just to be able to be that little like spread joy. And have it not be weird, because you can go about your life and do that every day, and people are going to be like, what are you, a morning person? Just like, I'm not ready for this. But when you're dressed like a giant bird, people are like, oh, thank you. No, I haven't got a pat on the back in 6 years. That meant a lot. So that was a great commercial.
Nice.
God, this really terrible one. We're on this white stage. It was like a safe driving commercial. They put us in goofy costumes that not flattering. And then
Goofy, like capital G, like the Goofy, or just like a goofy?
No, just like ill-fitting cheap business clothes or something with like wacky colors that didn't go together. And then the director wanted us all to like march in tune, like march together. But she was not, and she was trying to be the metronome and clapping, but she was clapping all for like weird and not in tune and not in time, and we couldn't follow it, but she just kept yelling at us for not being able to follow her crazy clapping. And a big sun that was like a set piece that was hung up fell, and it had big spikes on it, big spiky sun. It fell like 6 feet behind a performer from like 40 feet up in the soundstage, and would have killed that guy. It would have been like was it Hot Fuzz, where like the steeple falls and just like freaking impales that guy on the top of his head or his face or something. And I was like, I had to tell my agent, be like, that was a super unsafe set. It was demeaning. Eventually, like a crew member felt really bad for us and got out a metronome app. And then it came on TV, and it was like embarrassing. Really? I was like, this is awful. And then like my cousin made like a meme out of it or something. No. It still sends it to me all the time. Yeah. And I'm like, I should be reminded of that on a daily.
Yeah, of course.
It's my punishment.
Gosh, that's like genuinely dangerous. Like,
oh, and then of course they don't like pay you, or they pay you super late or something, and you're just like, oh my God, and your car almost gets a ticket. Like all of the things. Yeah.
Yeah. Gosh, the woes of acting. I had a couple of I did a small handful of commercials, but one, it was for this like small dental office in like Royal Oak, I think, like that. And like a small lower budget production company shot it. And like, I think I submitted on like Craigslist or something like this. I don't remember where I came across it, but I got paid, whatever. But it was just like, it was it wasn't the dentist's office. It was the jewelry. It was a jewelry store. And so the little story of the commercial was that like, I had to like sit and like ask the parents for permission, and the dad was like, welcome to the family. And then we had to go do the like whole proposal scene and stuff like that. And it was just like, it was like SNL level cheesy bad. Like if SNL were to make a commercial, like spoofing a jewelry commercial, like this is what it looked like. Yeah. But it was like dead serious, and it aired like all the time. And I had like, family members. And then I think Mark actually got us this one. I don't remember if you were there. I remember Mark was there. It was for Jet's Pizza. And like,
he was in Ferndale?
I think so. Yeah. I don't remember the production company, but everyone was in the background. It was supposed to be a background job. And then like they called a handful of people up, and like I just happened to get called up, and they were like, just off the cuff, describe the pizza, do this, do that. And so I went and did the whole thing. And then like the one line that actually made it was like, I took a bite and I go, that's Jet's Pizza. And my God, all of my family still will come up to me and be like, that's Jet's Pizza. And it's the infamous memory that like never dies.
It's hard to live those down.
Yeah.
That's why I never did a Lover's Lane commercial. It's like those places that sell like bad lingerie and stuff, and like adult toys and whatever. And I would just get those emails all the time, relentlessly. They were like, "You're the one actor who hasn't been in one yet, so like we have to get you." And I was like, no, I'm so glad. This is the best decision I ever made.
Yeah.
The best no ever.
Yeah. It's like the paycheck's probably nice and it's enticing, it builds the resume, whatever, but like, yeah, it's you can never live that down. Like you never undo it.
You gotta put it into perspective with your decision making, because you'd be like, oh man, I'll make $200-300 for a couple hours, or maybe it's even like $700-800 for a couple hours, and it's easy to justify that. But like, also you could be getting what you're worth and making $25,000 for a commercial. So like, sometimes you just gotta say no matter what.
Yeah.
Or set your bar where like you won't say no very, very high, and save yourself from bad decisions.
Yeah.
Hopefully that's applicable to beyond acting.
Yeah. So say someone's listening and they happen to be like a aspiring actor, like brand new, never done it. What would you say like the first few steps are and like mindset that you would recommend somebody to do in order to pursue acting?
Ooh. I would say get really confident. So get a coach or a teacher that makes you feel confident. I feel like that's hard to get here. Teachers are like, they really want to make you insecure so that you keep feeling like you need class and you keep going to class. But try to find the opposite. Find any way to make yourself really confident, and got to do the agent things. Otherwise, you're not going to get legit jobs, and you might have to like walk in or do something outrageous to get the agent. Otherwise, Michigan, they'll overlook you.
I've come across a few scam agencies and a few legit agencies. If someone were to like start reaching out to an agency, which ones would you recommend that are legit?
In the area here?
In Michigan, yeah.
Productions Plus is the legit agent, and then Wink Talent is a new agent.
Yeah, I'm still on the emails, and I saw the whole thing go down, like iGroup over to Wink. Some stuff went down. I didn't really know. Is it something we can like talk about, or?
Yeah, the only thing I know. Well, I know a lot, actually, and I've inferred all of it because being in business, I know all of it. But I'll just say that Tony DeMambro, the old owner of iGroup, went into the wind. He was probably upside down on a lot of his payments to people, all those bills. I think a lot of actors didn't get paid. I kind of told people for years, like when everyone started getting paid really late, I was like, this business may not have the money to pay everyone. So they're just paying who they have to pay. Don't be last in line for your money or you're not going to get it. Not many people listen to me, but
yeah. And then a handful of people from the iGroup went and started Wink Talent. That's cool. But okay, so get an agent, a legit one, one that's not a scam. And you're saying like Productions Plus and Wink are like top two in terms of.
They're the only two.
They're the only two.
If there's something else here, it's a scam.
Okay, perfect.
As of the recording on this date, to the extent of my knowledge.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. And anyone that, I think general rule of thumb too, because I saw this a lot in LA, anyone that says they need to charge you for their services, scam.
It's a no-go.
Right. So cool. So mindset, get a coach, get confident, get an agent. Anything else?
And get another job.
Another job.
Yeah.
Cool.
Have something that takes your mind away from acting, keeps you from becoming obsessed with acting, keeps you from being waiting and desperate and going into all of those dark spirals that we like to go in. Another job that fulfills you, it fulfills your needs, and maybe it's a day job and it's kind of a slog, but it makes you more resilient and it makes you less vulnerable to the ups and downs of acting.
Yeah. I found that too. I waited tables a lot. I worked a lot of restaurant work. That's typically a pretty good field in my experience because you get a lot of schedule flexibility if you need to get a shift picked up or if you need a random Thursday afternoon off. Pretty good. What do you do? Because that's something I want to talk to you about too. I see you on LinkedIn in those like motion detector suits.
Yeah.
What is that for? And how did you get into that?
It's motion capture.
Okay.
And I'm going to call it motion detection now for the rest of forever because that's hilarious.
Yeah.
I got it wrong on purpose, but I love you for it.
No, I botched it.
So I got into that quite on purpose. Everyone wants that job. I don't do it every day. I actually do business development for that company, and I went into there to talk to them about acting, and then just started talking about business and how their business works, and do they know these people, and do they do business with those guys, and do these guys over there know about them? And they were like, will you consult? And I was like, yes, I will. So I found that I'm really good at business, and I love it. I'm like the fixer. I'm like the strategist, the specialist. I'll go in and fix a business problem, get more leads, refine some processes, whatever I'm good at for that company.
Yeah.
And I love it.
Mm-hmm.
I love it. Acting now is like, hey, if it happens, it happens.
Yeah.
But business stuff is pretty cool. But whenever there's a shoot, internal testing, I'm like their in-house actor for motion capture. Because I moved to Seattle to pursue video game acting.
Okay.
So I do voiceover, but the motion capture is a big part of it too. And I straight up moved there with a suitcase. And
when and for how long? And when did you get back to Michigan?
In 2019.
Okay.
And I went to like every meetup for game devs and every industry thing and a lot of conferences. First, I traveled around to different conferences to interview developers at studios and stuff under the guise of my YouTube channel or this podcast place that I worked for. So I got to meet people that way. And then I made the move, but only for like 6 months, because it was March 2017 where I was like, well, things are shutting down anyway.
Oh,
and Seattle was like...
March 2020.
March 2020,
Okay,
yeah. And
something happened around that time.
something
I can't quite
happened
remember.
then. And that was ground zero in
World
Seattle, so
show-
I was
yeah.
like, well, do I want to die alone here or just like go back home? And I was like, well, I have a suitcase already, so I'll just go back home.
Yeah. So you went by yourself.
Yeah.
It's been a while since we've seen each other. Last time you had a significant other. Is that a thing or?
Yeah, that's still a thing. That's been a thing for a long time. And
Did
yes,
he-
I did abandon him for months.
So you were doing like a long distance thing?
Yeah,
Okay.
I came back a couple times
Okay.
during that time.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was a little rocky for us in that time.
Yeah. I've been through my fair share of rocky times and, different relationships. I feel very lucky and fortunate now that I can confidently say I found the one. Very much in love with my wife. She's fantastic. I always didn't like that question. Like people would ask me like whatever relationship I was in, people would be like, is she the one? And I'd be like, I don't really believe in the one. I think people are just doing what they do. And if you can make it work through compromise and whatever, then like whatever. But then it wasn't until I met my wife now. I'm just like,
Oh,
yeah.
So you think there is a one?
I do think there is a one. But yeah, that's cool. But I know long distance and stuff like that can be tough. Yeah. Oh, I want to talk about this because you are also a content creator on YouTube.
Yeah.
Here.
I try.
Yeah, I want to talk. So one thing before we dive into that, if you want to see, and I don't even mean if you want to see, because I think you want to see Caitlin's stuff that she creates. She is a fellow content creator. So I'm going to link your channel and website here in the description of this video. So if you're watching on YouTube or Spotify, check out the description, go to her channel, subscribe, because she's producing some really funny stuff. Like really funny stuff.
Thank you.
Now, but I want to relate some stuff because frustrations in content creation, I don't know if you can relate, but like I will like clip out something from this podcast or put together a short with like a ton of editing and put, a bunch of energy into it. And I'm like, this is going to be the one. This is going to blow up. And I'll put it out there. And I try really hard not to check the analytics, but I can't help it sometimes. And the videos that I feel like are totally going to pop off, be the first one to hit 1 million, they're always duds and they never work.
Yeah,
Can you relate to that experience?
100%. You spend so much time and be like, this is the best thing I've ever done. And it'll be the worst performing video ever. But the one where you're like, you literally just turned on your phone and said something silly in the moment just because you were feeling a type of way, it does way better.
I know.
Way better.
I know. And it doesn't make any sense because
No.
like I've slowly begun to figure out this YouTube Shorts thing. And like, there are certain things that I know about it. And what I know about it is the view percentage is very important. So if you can put together something that like kind of like cheaty, but like cuts off like quickly after the payoff, That's good because it'll be a higher thing, but you do not want to stick around. Like, once you drive home your point, you don't want to like stick around.
You don't be like, and thanks everyone, and see you on the next one. Like, don't do that.
Yeah, don't do that.
You just be like, you're done, and that's it.
People are going to drop off. And I just had this funny experience where like I put together something like I actually did a podcast with my wife. She was a personal trainer, and I did this video as clear and concise as can be. It was just like how to get a 6-pack. Because in my head, I'm like, that's a good question. People want to know the answer. So I put it together. I'm like, this thing's going to pop off. And it did okay. It's like active right now as we're shooting this. It's like, okay. But then I had a buddy on who gives this recipe for like the imposter chicken sandwich from fucking Chick-fil-A. And I throw it up. It crushes. And it's like, man, like this is like a health and wellness podcast with a little bit of humor, I like to think.
Yeah.
And just this random thing I put up with this guy talking about a chicken sandwich recipe. I put it on TikTok. It's my best performing video of all time. It's got like 140,000 views on there. And I'm like, that's cool. It feels good. But like, people are going to come to this channel thinking I'm just giving out recipes and talking about Chick-fil-A.
Like, where's the rest of the Chick-fil-A? This is the Chick-fil-A guy, right? What the heck? Why did I follow?
I know. And so, man, it's like the videos that are actually doing numbers and performing, they feel great, but it's just like, and then I had another one where like I did a part from the song Rap God. And it's this isn't a rapping podcast.
I saw that.
Oh, did you?
Yeah, it showed me too.
It's wild. It like pushes stuff like that. And people like, if I get any like traction from that, people are going to see the next video I put up is about like, how many push-ups can you do or visualization. They're going to be like, this isn't Eminem or Chick-fil-A. Leave.
Well, for the Rap God one, at least, I feel like it didn't give me the impression that all you do is rap stuff. So hopefully it just drives people. Yeah. If it shows people like it showed me. Yeah.
Yeah. Hopefully. Gosh, what are some like, so take me through your process. 'Cause you do sketch comedy. Yeah. Primarily. So you do shorts and you do, I've noticed your videos are usually like within like a 5 to 10 minute range. Is that for like the
when I do a long one? Yeah. Sketch's sweet spot is like 3.5 minutes, like a pop song.
Yeah. Oh, perfect. So do you do like, you come up with the ideas, you shoot on your own equipment, and do you do everything?
Generally, yes. I have worked with a sketch troupe called the C Words because all our names started with C. So it's funny. And we did a couple polished sketches that are on their own channel. One of them might also be on my channel. And then I have a sketch writing partner now. And we've also done a couple, and those have done better than when I just write them and do them by myself. So I'm like, cool. People will comment, be like, your brain is weird. I'm like, that was Paul's brain. But no one says that about me. I can't have. Mine are just LOL or no comments at all.
Yeah. Shout out Paul. What does Paul do? Is he a former, or is he a fellow
He's a stand-up and a paralegal here in the Metro Detroit area. Paul Scazzari.
Yeah.
Very funny, dude. Yeah. And it took us, we've known each other for at least 3 years, and we would like meet at bars and just like talk comedy, talk our favorite sketches, talk like classic stuff, critique movies, be like, okay, we got to make something because we're vibing. But then we're like, let's plan something. We'll show up at the bar the next time and just talk about comedy again. And like that happened for 3 years until we finally made something in like December. So yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
What, so you guys talk comedy, you talk stand-up, movies?
Yeah,
shows?
yeah. He's a stand-up. I've done stand-up a couple times.
You have?
But he found me through my sketches.
Okay.
And I was like, oh, you're in the area, let's hang out. And so that happens all the time. Where like I just make friends through the internet from people who see my stuff. And like it's not like bunches of people see my stuff. I don't pull down tons of views. But I guess like the right people that see it and they want to hang out and talk about stuff. And so I have so many friends like that now, which is really cool.
Yeah.
You can find your people through content.
Yeah. Where have you done stand-up?
What is the place in downtown Canton here?
Oh, yeah.
Maraschino's.
Maraschino's. Okay.
Yeah, on Cherry Hill.
They do like an open mic night?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah.
And what was that like? What was that experience like? You like wrote your own jokes and you just like went up there, or did you call ahead of time?
There was like a massive open mic night where they had like 40, 50 people. At least it felt like that.
Yeah.
But there was a lot. Mm-hmm. And I was the only person who did characters because that's what I do. And I was like, is no one else going to like do a character at all? I guess just me. Okay. Mm-hmm. And so I did a couple different ones and it killed. And I was like, no shit. But I felt like it was a very warm crowd by that
Yeah.
point. So
Yeah. That feels good. It's
Yeah.
one thing I've never really done. I did it drunk at a bar one time in like, where was it? I was in like Virginia Beach. I was like, we were on spring break. I
cool.
was with a friend and he was like, get up there, get up there. It was like before a band played. It was definitely not an environment conducive to comedy.
no.
I hadn't written anything. I had just taken a few bits that I had thought of throughout the years and I went up. I bombed. It was really bad. I had the people coming up to me and one guy was just like, you got courage, kid. And it's like, that's not what you want to hear after a stand-up set. You want to hear like,
No.
good job, not you've got courage.
Was that your one and only?
That's my one and only. I've wanted to do it. I think I just, I don't know. I really want to do it. I don't know. I fear. It's all fear that holds me back. It's fear of bombing and it's fear of like feeling like if it's something that I really want to pursue, I have to put in like at least 5 years
Right.
of doing weekly sets
Yeah.
and doing it. And I guess number 3, I go to bed early and
I know.
I go to bed
Those
at
are
8
all
o'clock.
the exact reasons I don't do it more.
Yeah.
How do you justify it? Like,
I know.
yeah, because like a lot of times you go, even if I go to see a friend, they'll be like, at the end of the sets or whatever, and you gotta wait and wait and wait. And you're there for like 3 hours waiting to watch your buddy. It's like, I would never, how do you, and you're not really getting paid
Right.
$50.
Right.
I don't know.
Not a lot at all. And
Yeah.
I mean, it's an industry that's flourishing right now. There are so many good comics out there that I love and I follow. And I go to Mark Ridley's in Royal Oak on a regular basis to see like some comic that I'm a huge fan of. I would here's a recommendation. We can transition into this. I usually end the podcast talking about pet peeves and recommendations. And I think I've used this as a recommendation before, but seeing Dave Attell, have you ever heard of Dave Attell?
Yeah.
Seeing him live, like you could watch him on YouTube all day, watch his special, and seriously do that. Huge fan, but he is such a pro at stand-up comedy where you don't know, he's so good that like you really don't know when he's delivering pre-written material and when he's just going off the cuff. It's like unlike anything I've ever seen. I've seen a lot of stand-up comedy.
Cool.
He's like the best at any craft that I've ever seen. It's unbelievable.
Oh, true pro.
True pro.
I love being in the presence of that kind of mastery. You're like, wow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
For sure. So question for you, when it comes to recommendations, I'll put it like this. Is there anything, I want to word this correctly. Is there anything that you do in your life that you believe that if everybody in the world did that thing, that the world would be a better place?
Whoa.
Dude. I don't know if it's the incense that's tripping me out right now, but
Easier said than done, but I would say get over yourself and take responsibility. Because I feel like the amount of people that are like clinical narcissists is exploding. And now that I study body language more, and I can pick them out all over the place. It's like, gotta be like 15% of people, at least. It's something huge.
What is it about their body language that says narcissist?
It's more about in their behavior.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
What do they...
You gotta observe a bunch of different behaviors over a period of time.
Okay.
But I mean, there was a lady I went to an event and like she introduced herself to me twice in the space of 2 hours. So like really not considering other people to the point where they don't remember you hardly at all. That's a dead giveaway. Like otherwise it'll take like 6 months for like their best behavior to kind of fall apart. And you're like, oh my God, this person's actually a monster. But if you can detect early things like that, but I don't know why this is cropping up if it's always been like this, but I feel like it's in some part, it's the root of like just at some point deciding to not take responsibility and that everything is someone else's fault. No matter what's happened to you, they're just like, that ain't fair, or like, not my problem, even though if it's directly your problem. Like if you punch someone and you're like, well, no one's considering my feelings in this situation. It's like, that's a narcissist.
Yeah. You're describing right now. I might cut that. But it's inability to take responsibility for anything.
Yeah. I guess if it's clinical, it's never going to change. But I feel like at some point in your youth, early adolescence, or maybe it's your early 20s, if you cannot go down that road of like, I will never take responsibility ever again. If you can switch your thinking back to like, I am the problem, it's me, and I do have the power to address it, then the whole world would be a much better place.
Mm-hmm. That's really good. That's really powerful. I want to comment on one thing about that.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's from the perspective of somebody who lives in the sphere of one of these people that you described. And I always thought compassion for everybody, like 100% pure compassion, was the answer.
Mm-hmm.
But in my experience, I found like you can lead with compassion always, but at a certain point with somebody with destructive, dare I say, toxic behavior like that, you got to start slapping boundaries in place to protect like your own space.
Yeah, you got to install them prematurely.
Right.
You got to have those boundaries already. It's like trust in God, but lock your car.
Yeah.
Or something. So you have to kind of already know. You can't be just tricked into something. You have to have enough of your boundaries and your own self-esteem put in place where someone's not going to be able to like just con you or take advantage of you.
Right. Gaslight you, twist the scenario at hand to like.
And you have to like be able. You can't not call them out just because you want to be a nice person. Someone's gaslighting you and be like, I feel like you're trying to make me feel guilty about that thing. That's interesting. You would do that. Just put it back on them.
Right. Yeah. And I find like the less you like, there's that quote that's like, never argue with an idiot. They'll bring you down to their level and beat you with experience. That's kind of like what I'm thinking of here. And that's like, don't partake in some of their twisted back and forth like arguments because it's a never winning battle and a never ending just journey because they'll twist, they'll turn, they'll spin, they'll gaslight, they'll do all this stuff. And yeah, it's a real thing. And I agree. I feel like the incidences of narcissism in people just exploding.
Yeah. Yeah. And everyone says just get away from them at all costs. And that is absolutely true. But also, we maybe have to get better at calling out the behavior because if you just go away from them, they'll just find another victim. So you've essentially just put it on to someone else. So I don't know what the whole answers are for society, but
yeah,
something.
Well,
we have to do better than like, I'm just going to run away.
Yeah. Well, if we're coming up with solutions here, that's what we do here on this podcast. So remember COVID, I think it was called. It was just like weird.
Yeah.
Corona.
The Rona.
The Ronus. I preferred when they called it coronavirus, but COVID, whatever. Quarantine. I think we just announce a narcissism pandemic and screen these folks, screen everybody, but quarantine. Just an island of narcissism.
That'd be great.
Yeah.
Find a way to sick them on each other, and then they can try to con and duel each other to the death and just leave us out of it.
You're right.
Because there's always that person that's just too nice, who's just going to get taken advantage of.
Right.
Yeah, would like to protect those people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's funny. Here's a question. Your Mount Rushmore, so top 4 of entertainers. It could be a musician, actor, comedian, whatever, that you would love to work with. You can even add it to your visualization. You can picture. Yeah.
Love to work with now?
Good question. Let's go with now.
Okay, so alive people.
Got to be alive people, and because some people had had like tremendous runs, but now maybe don't necessarily want to have lunch with them.
Yeah. I'd have to go Jim Carrey. Because even if he sucks all the energy in the room, like you still feel like there might be that like electric back and forth that you want to experience.
Yeah.
And that would be cool to be in that presence. Yeah, that would be insane.
Yeah. Maybe your boy Jeff Daniels can set that up. You never know. Even though Carrie's semi-retired.
I know, right? But as Dr. Robotnik, though, I'm
We're
like,
gonna have
that
to-
is not the performance of a retired man.
I know. We're going to
No
have
way.
to get you on Sonic. Sonic 4 coming, starring Caitlin Burt.
Oh, I know. I would have been a good Tails.
Yeah.
Anyone can do that little Tails voice. I'm
You'd
like,
have
who
been
even is that? It's so generic.
Right.
Anyway. Ben Schwartz is another good one. Dude, his long form improv. I'm like, bro.
Yeah.
Maybe I gotta like pick people of a different vibe so that we can pair in opposites, because I feel like maybe Ben Schwartz energy and my energy would get nothing done. Just a whole lot of really fast babble.
Yeah.
I feel like Amy Poehler would be the best mentor for me. I feel like she's one of those people that would just be like, I want to push you to be your best. And I feel like I don't get mentors in the acting world that often. Yeah, I feel like Jeff was for a little while and have a few good coaches. But there's not a whole lot, I feel like, of those people in the industry like pulling each other up. Jeff does that, but yeah.
Yeah.
Idris Elba.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's got a kick-ass voice, and he's funny and serious. He's all the things in one person.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's a good top 4. And it's going to happen. I think it's going to happen. I think we visualize, we put it out in the universe, we can make it happen.
Okay.
At the very least, we get you in Sonic, and you can play a little bit with Jim Carrey.
Yeah.
Yeah, that'd be awesome. Yeah. I asked you ahead of time about pet peeves. I don't know if you jotted any down or if you just have any general life pet peeves, but I always find them fun to talk about. Do you have any pet peeves?
Oh my God. Can I tell this one like in a story?
Yes, please.
So it's maybe just like driving like a jerk for no reason.
Mm-hmm.
This lady cut me off going into like a movie theater or something. She was on my ass and just like going into the mall and then the side road. And we ended up just going the same direction for a while. We both park at the movie theater that's at this mall, going into the same door, going into the movie theater, in line to see the same movie. And I'm like, I'm not going to pass up a chance to call this person out, right? And just kind of gently confront the situation and be like, hey, did you cut me off, like, coming in here? And she was like, ugh, and just, like, tried to walk away from me. She was a crazy person.
She didn't own up to it.
No, she didn't own up to it. And I might have escalated a little bit just to, like, just to see what would happen. I study body language, so I just got to, escalate so I can try out my de-escalation.
That's fantastic.
And, so they got real, and this lady started yelling at me. She was like, I am a 63-year-old grown-ass woman. I don't give a bleep. And she was just, like, screaming. And then I got to be like, do you see this crazy person to everyone else?
So you poked the bear. And
I
then
did.
You said,
well,
what?
I just wanted to see how much poking it would take to get her to explode. And, like, none at all.
Turns out not much.
Very easy.
Nice.
And so we're sitting there watching the previews. And I was like, I'm going to go move my car in case she's going to go leave and then key it or something. So I moved my car.
Yeah.
But yeah. Don't drive like a jerk. You might end up going to the same place as someone else.
That's wild. Like, sometimes it'll happen where, like, you end up, like, at the same stoplight, and then you can do, like, the look in or whatever, but the same place, same theater, same movie.
Yeah.
That's wild.
Yeah.
That's so funny. So I got, like, it's not really a pet peeve as much as it is, like, a funny observation in, like, every 90s movie ever. And that's when, like, they're in some sort of, like, precinct. They're in, like, a precinct, and something goes awry with the media. And somebody inevitably says, there's a shitstorm of reporters outside, whatever, Johnson. And so the shitstorm, you never get shitstorm in real life, but someone says, there's a shitstorm of reporters. I ain't going out there. You got to put a lid on this, Captain, whatever. So then inevitably they walk outside, and sure enough, shitstorm of reporters, and they have to do, like, the beeline walk to some sort of vehicle with, like, hundreds of microphones being shoved in their face. Is this not a scene in, like, every 90s movie ever?
Yeah,
and why did they choose shitstorm of reporter? Could have been anything of reporters, but shitstorm, you don't get that a lot.
Huh. Same lazy writers. I don't know.
I might cut
It's just
that.
a popular thing.
Yeah.
Movies in general now are just a pet peeve.
Yeah.
Which I go to the movie theater and be like, why want to just have to leave right now, but it's so bad. I should not stay.
Yeah. The last one that I saw in theaters was a movie called Last Breath. Have you seen this or heard
No,
about this?
I've heard of it.
It's a Woody Harrelson movie where they go like
Oh,
down
yeah.
deep into the ocean.
Yeah.
It was decent. They do a pretty good job of making you feel claustrophobic, like because they're 1,000 meters deep into the ocean and stuff goes awry. And there was kind of one funny part where so this guy, he's at the bottom of the ocean in a big old suit, whatever, and he runs out of oxygen. So he passes out on this big contraption, and so it gives a timer of how long he's gone without oxygen. Mm-hmm. And so they send this little robot swimmy guy up to him, and you're in the theater, you're clutching your white knuckling it. You're like, oh my God, get this guy out. And so this little robot is going so slow, and you're like, oh, just grab him and yank him up, get him out of there. And off to the side, there's the little ship that they take down there. So basically he's passed out, and they just got to get him maybe 100 yards to the ship that's way down there with him. Submarine, not a ship, a submarine. So they send this little bot, and he's right up to him, and everyone is like, grab him, get him up. And so all the little bot does is it has these little arms, and they just starts to nudge the guy. And it's the silliest scene in cinema history. I'm just you got to grab him and take him point A, point B. Come on. We're in a hurry. This guy's out of oxygen. Yeah. And then it's just nudging him. And it's what are we doing here, people?
Yeah. It should have been seems like I didn't see it. Seems like it should have been a straight to Netflix kind of movie.
Yeah. Yeah.
Sometimes just go straight to TV.
Straight to something. Or maybe Tubi.
Straight to Tubi.
Straight to Tubi.
Yeah. Love Hurts. Don't see that one.
No?
Straight to Tubi.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's the one you were in?
That. That's the one where I wanted to leave the theater.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah.
Love Hurts.
Yeah.
That hurts. So before we wrap up, was there anything that you were hoping to talk about today or had jotted down that we haven't gotten to?
No. I mean, I got to come back and we got to see how the thing went. And we can talk about more health things then if you want, because it's just funny how we've done all the same things. We love supplements and red light and methylene blue and Dr. Berg and all the same things.
Yeah. I haven't done the methylene blue yet, but maybe.
Do it.
Really? I heard it turns your pee blue. Is that true?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
We can
you don't have to take and so much it stains your toilet.
Okay.
But there's not a risk to it that I've ever do your own research, I guess. But I've never heard anyone else be like, oh, it's terrible.
Okay. Maybe I will invest in some when you come back on. I can have some experience to talk about it, because I've only heard the anecdotal stories in different podcasts and stuff. Mm-hmm. Cool. So, all right, well, we'll wrap it up. But thank you for coming on. Super excited to have you back in 40-ish days.
Thanks, Chris.
Yeah.
This was fun. Yeah, It was good to see you again. It was a long time.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, take care. Thanks, everyone.